One heck of a party for Chelsea Football Club. Summer party finished off today with a 4-1 destruction of AC Milan. Chelsea are firing on all cylinders. What an amazing summer for the world champions. And today was no different. They did away with this poor Milan side. Unfortunately for them, glorious for us. And we really enjoy this. Thank you so much for this summer. However, the party is soon to be over, as in just 1 week. Crystal Palace and the Premier League begins for Chelsea Football Club, and it begins for Friday and all the other teams. Let's get ready for this Premier League, which is going to be full of excitement. Welcome back to FFB, amigos. And today we're going to talk about this Milan game, last friendly of the season, like I mentioned. Let's start with the lineup. When we bring in the lineup, Sanchez is going to happen. James, Tossin, Chalobah, Cucurella. I think that's the back four solid, given Colwill is going to be out. That looks like we're going to trust. I think Maresca is playing this team, signaling what he thinks is his most solid team, with the one or two tweaks that I think might be, positions that are up for question. Fernandez and Caicedo definitely considered the best pairing, although they don't play in that slot. And I'm gonna start making the lineups myself. Let's see how this season plays out, though. I don't want to get carried away, because last season they lined us up like 80% of the season as a 4-2-3-1 as they have it here. But in reality, we don't play that way 90% of the game, right? We have an inverted player or an advanced defender with three in the back, sometimes three and a one, Caicedo on his own, sometimes a dual pivot, depending if Cucurella stays back for defending. So we don't really look at like this shape. However, it's what we're used to for now. And then obviously Palmer, Neto, and Gittins, and Joao Pedro. So I think this is the strongest team, with the exception, I think Gittins, Estevão has shown more. We're going to talk about that guy, has shown more. And Pedro, everybody wants to get excited, but the lap today, people were saying, oh, the lap, I don't know. He's going to be in a bit of trouble. And because Joao is going to do a lot better than him. But in reality, let me tell you, today he scored 10, telling everybody to Ash the F up. So I don't know, man. I think it's going to be hard to choose who that number 9 is. Some people may think that we might go for the 2-team. You know how Maresca likes doing this 2-team thing. And it might be just the fact that he's going to play like one player for mostly, right? One player for the Premier League, another player for the Cups. Tell me in the comments if that's the case. Well, tell me who should be the starting player, who the rotation player, and should the starting player just play every single game? Or that's not going to happen. Doesn't even have that conversation. Maresca is a rotating coach. So the question is, what games do you want what player to play? Because it's going to be down to the lap and Joao Pedro. So which one do you want them to play? Talking about rotation, we had Palmer in the 10, which later we had Estevão come in for him. I felt so good to see some bench today. That felt so exciting. To see James come off in Malo Gusto. I know some people don't dig him, but you should be scared if you are another team and Malo Gusto comes in at the 70th minute, because that kid has legs for days. So that's not exactly what you want to see at that moment in time. Late in the game, him coming in. Then you have another youngster, Estevão William, coming in for Palmer, which is doing an amazing job. And obviously, we ended up changing 90% of the team. I think everybody except Tossin and Sancho eventually left the field. So we got to see a little bit players. We got to see the young Walsh come in, which was exciting. But let's get into it. First, Reece, Captain James, our captain, my captain, as always, putting in an amazing cross. That's a problem. Look, it was that guy, that Kuba, whatever his name is, in Milan, had a real day to forget. Look, it's a preseason friendly, and the guy scored an own goal and got a red card. Deserved. And silly, to be honest. It's a friendly. Let the last man go score. He'll come back. It's a friendly. And that's really bad, because now in preseason, you're making your team a little bit more tired, who are already weary of traveling. They lose the game time for their sharpness, and you're forcing them to play a game with one less person on their team, and that's exhausting unnecessarily. So I'm sure that guy is going to get reamed soon after the game. But that cross comes in, and that's the point of, you remember Willian, or prior Brazilian, not Estevão, but our prior Brazilian. He used to put in, and he scored a lot of goals like it, where you put in crosses like that, and sometimes they don't get touched by anybody, and they just go in because they're curving in and they're bouncing in front of the area, and they're really hard to control. If anybody like whispers at it, it goes in, and that's what happened today. The defender has a slight touch in it, and it's over. It's really hard to defend that ball when it's put in properly. Of course, they should have done better, but the point being that that delivery is amazing. And in delivery later, you saw in the match, and that's so amazing to see Reece James not in the inverted at all times, but when he breaks on the right. I don't know if you saw, he had his back almost turned to goal towards the end of the goal line, and he managed to do a very harsh turn and bang in across. Nobody got into the end of, but it was 3 feet, from the goalkeeper, but it's put in with enough curve and power at a mid-low height. He can't touch it. And that's another thing. Like, anybody touches that and it's going in. The risk of an own goal or anybody getting on the end of it is very easy to happen. And it's really impressive that James was able to do that. Quickly after that, Joe Pedro scores his goal again. This guy just scores and scores and scores. And then in the second half, we had a lot of changes, and we had a penalty. Estevão William that came in for Cole Palmer. They call him, he's a menace, un travieso. The kid is unbelievable, and we see him playing on the right and the 10, similar. So it's interesting because very different way of playing, and like their body shape, but very interesting. They can do similar things in terms of Palmer and him. He took an amazing shot from outside the box, which, by the way, Palmer could have had a goal a couple of times. He had an amazing free kick. He had an amazing cross. That players just were world class. And if this kid, the confidence and the cojones on Estevão William is just unreal. He takes shot from outside the box. He's making good choices most of the time. I'm really, 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 I'm trying to not get excited. Uh, so I'm hearing in the comments and seeing in the watch alongs, everybody is saying, as a Chelsea fan, it's super hard right now to not say we're gonna win it all. And that's how it feels. Now, your footballing brain and my footballing brain tells me that when it comes to the Premier League, that's a different ballpark altogether. The reality is that a 38 match season is a very complicated thing. I'm going to say that in every video because it's a long, hard fight with an amazing set of teams and players that got better. Arsenal finally got their number 9 in Gyökeres, which they've really needed. But we can hopefully trust that they will bottle everything as they always do. And they start their season against Manchester United, which is nobody nowadays. But that's going to be an exciting game to watch this upcoming weekend. And the champions Liverpool on Friday, them on Sunday, right after the Chelsea game, Crystal Palace. You can stay on and watch that. Unfortunately for me, I'm bringing these games up right now because I would normally do the watch along, and I'd stay for hate along to watch Arsenal and Manchester United. So exciting. Unfortunately, I have to work that day, guys, and I won't be able to do the live. But I promise, I'm going to have more watch alongs and lives as soon as work doesn't get in the way. And for that, I need you to please subscribe. Let's grow the space so so work doesn't get in the way, and I can dedicate myself a little bit more to this and do some of the live watch alongs, which are so fun. Having direct contact and talking to you guys about football is probably one of the most fun things I can do in my life. So thank you for all my viewers and all my fans. I am really grateful. Then going back to the lap, Joe Pedro, like I said, who's it going to be? Tell me in the comments. I think that's an important one. Who's it going to be that's going to play most of the games, and what games you want him to play? And who should we replace? I mean, Chalobah's doing the job. He almost got hurt today. I don't know if you guys saw, he went down a little bit, and that would be a problem. So we're like, yeah, we got center backs. Fofana might be coming back, all this stuff. But as soon as one dude falls down and gets a little bit hurt, that's how we were with Caicedo maybe last season, because we knew if he's down, we're toast, because Lavia was out injured all the time and stuff. But now that you have more coverage, you're a little bit less scared of that. And center back, as soon as one went down, that got a little scary because we have an unproven Hato there. And, well, it's a little scary for the Premier League. In any case, that feels like a position that is up for debate. That people are that we're still considering looking at another center back. I'm not sure. Of all the people that have played, Tyreek George also came in. I'm not convinced. Gittins, I really like what he brings in terms of facing his attacker, but I'm afraid I might be getting some. I don't want to exaggerate like insane Mudrik vibes, but the end product, I'm a little bit doubtful about. So we'll see. Uh, Again, friendly beginning of the season, and we have enough players to go around. Pedro Neto can play on that side, William on the right, Palmer in the 10. That's what I think I'd like to see. Certainly, I think it's a bit of a disservice to Pedro Neto, but I think he can do the job. And we are seeing Chelsea in terms of switching around positions and attacking with speed, unreal, like world class level, without a doubt. My fear, and this is the big one, is our problem that we've had for the last couple of seasons. And how are we going to do against a low block? Who's going to sit? Because everybody that's watching these games, if you come into Stamford Bridge or anywhere and you see, and you want to go toe to toe with Chelsea, man, you have to be a Liverpool or Man City level to come up with that kind of that kind of plan. Because and even then, eh, you can't do it with a very high line. You will get destroyed, as you saw it happen to PSG, and you will see that. I think that's nuts. However, a low block, let's see. That's going to be our challenge for this season. So very exciting stuff. And the Premier League is starting. This is the first time at the channel that I'm going to do a full season because I started this channel only in November last year. I already missed a couple of months, and Chelsea were actually not doing great. We were in the Conference League. Everybody was depressed, and I figured I'd start then because not many people were watching, and I was embarrassed and it was hard. I didn't know much what I was doing, but I'm learning, and this is going to be my first full season with you guys. I'm super excited. So keep on watching. For those of you that are not Chelsea fans, as you'll notice, I do some other watch alongs. I do some other analysis. I love football and I love watching the game. So I'm watching constantly. I'm watching all the time. And I like reviewing other teams. So I'll probably give opinions on the other teams in the Premier Leagues. And sometimes when there's really cool matches, if there's a Clásico or something else going on, I'll absolutely comment on those. So please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, Chelsea, thank you very much for another win. Deserve it. You're impressing me so much. Let's see if we can carry this out for the next 38 games in the Premier League. And I am confident we're getting silverware this year. The question is what we're getting. What are we going to get? Let's hope so. I think we got this. I think this young team is up for great things. Again, ideally, I'd like a couple of old heads in there to balance it out. But hey, let's see where we go with this. And as always, come on, you Blues.